Some of you are out here in the wilderness and you are wondering why you have not reached your breakthrough. Well, let me tell you this. God is taking you the long way around. He's taking you on the long route. And let me read something to you. Let me share something with you that I have discovered today and why, okay? So if you read in your Bible, you want to go to Exodus chapter 13, and we're going to read let's see, verse 17, okay? And it says, when Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them on the road through the Philistine country, though that was shorter, okay? So as you can see, even with the Israelites, he didn't take them directly through. He led them around about a way, and there's a reason for it. I'm going to keep reading. It says here, for God said, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led the people around by the desert road toward the Red Sea. The Israelites went up out of Egypt ready for battle. So he led them up out of Egypt ready for battle, but not directly through, as it said, through the Philistine country, though that was shorter. He led them around. All right, so some of you today are experiencing this right now. I know I have experienced it. I'm on the tail end of mine, but I know for me, God led me around. He took me the long way around. Reason being, as it says here, just like he said to the Israelites, if they face war, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. It's the same thing with us. If there is something that we come up against, we might change our minds and go back to what had us in bondage in the first place. And for some of us, that could be a person, it could be a relationship, well, a job, you know, it could even be family members. When I say a person, maybe parents. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romantic relationship. It could be a friendship. You know, anything that is has you captive or that is holding you in bondage. So God will take you the long way around to work some things up out of you. And I can honestly say, for me, that's what happened with me. When I left Virginia the first time, well, I've only left once. When I left Virginia at the end of 2022, December 2022, headed to Texas, I'm thinking I'm going there for good to stay. So I left Virginia, and I'll tell anyone, I left Virginia seeking the promises. But had I received the promises too soon, I may have been triggered by it because there were some things still inside of me that God had to work out. And I didn't understand when I got there why I was there. I didn't know until much later, until he told me to leave, that I was there on an assignment. So, and that goes for some of you. If God gives you whatever it is that you're wanting right now, whatever it is he's promised you, then if you're not ready for it, whenever you're triggered, you might self-sabotage, and then you end up going back to whatever it is that had you in bondage. Again, like I said, it could be a relationship, not necessarily romantic. It could also be a job that was a dead-end job. It could also be a vice that you were using. Perhaps some of us have addictions. Things, it could be a food addiction. It could be a porn addiction, masturbation, you know, things like that, drugs, alcohol, all of these different things. There are so many different things that we could be in bondage to. Some things are more visible than others. Some people can see, you know, all over you. Maybe it's food, you know, gluttony. Sometimes people don't always notice. It could be at your house. You may be hoarding things, you know, just a number of things that that may have you in bondage. And if you're not careful, then you will be triggered and you'll return back to that thing. Just like the children of Israel. God did not want them to go directly through, because if they faced war, if they came up against danger or anything that didn't look like what God said, they may turn around and go back into slavery. And they have been crying out, just like a lot of us, we've been crying out for God to deliver us. And then once he delivers us, when it doesn't look like what God said, then we become fearful, we become anxious, and we start complaining. And that's another thing. While you're on this journey, stop complaining. Stop complaining and just be obedient. Keep moving forward to whatever it is God, the assignment that he has you on at this time. And I can honestly say that when I made it to Texas, you know, when I got there and I'm looking around for what God said, and nothing around me looked like what God said. My circumstances did not look like it at all, and they still don't. However, there has been lots of movement since. So just stay with me here. So when I got there, even the job that I was working, I'm like, Lord, why would you lead me out of Virginia and send me to Texas to do the same thing that I was doing, or actually less, to make less money? This makes no sense. But see, the thing is, God, what he was doing, he was working some things up out of my heart, that pride that I didn't realize it was still there. He was humbling me in a way that I didn't even know I needed at that time. But the thing is, if I can't serve on a lower level, I'll never be able to serve on a higher level with what God has for me. I won't steward it well. And the same thing goes for you. So when I got there, you know, I'm on a job making less money, you know, in an environment that I don't necessarily, or around people that I don't know, that I grew to love, you know, really care about, and gain some friends and things while I was there. Okay. So in the midst of all that, though, like I said, God was working some things up out of me, up out of my heart. He was showing me what was there. He did the same thing with the children of Israel. If y'all go back and read chapter 13, read the whole, you know, all of Exodus, the book of Exodus, okay? And then it tells us, while they were out in the wilderness, they were complaining all the time. Like I just said, they were crying out, you know, did God lead us up out of here just to kill us, you know, to bury us so we could die in the wilderness? You know, is that what he did, what he was doing? And that's not what God is doing. But a lot of times we don't recognize what he's doing because we're uncomfortable. But you're going to have to get uncomfortable in order to step into whatever it is that God has for you. He cannot give you the promises but right now in the state that you're in, because you won't steward them well, as I said before. So, and then let's go a little bit further into this, y'all. Let me see here. I got some notes here. Let's see. So if I go down, now I want you to go down into chapter 14 as well. Like I said, read the whole book of Exodus. But it also says here that there's a reason why God will take you the long way around. And that's not necessarily not just to work some things up out of you, you know, to show you what's in your heart. That's part of it. But another reason is this. It says here, then the Lord said to Moses, tell the Israelites to turn back and encamp near this, I think it's Harahoth, or Harahoth, I can't pronounce it, y'all, I'm sorry, between Migdal and Baal-Zephon. Pharaoh will think, here's the reason, Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them, but I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites did this. Again, the Israelites are, Pharaoh will think the Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert. He's going, and the Lord will harden their hearts, but then he was going to gain the glory. So that's another reason right there. Y'all, I'm sorry for the shaking of my camera. I'm so sorry. But the Lord will do this, once again, to work some things up out of your heart, but to also confuse your enemies. Because see, what y'all don't know, there are people watching you along this journey that you would never imagine. They just kind of sit back in the cut and they waiting on you to fall. They're waiting on you to fall and to fail. All right? So remember that. But I need you to keep moving. Keep being obedient to whatever it is God is telling you to do. Because see, while they might think you're confused, because they look at you like, oh, they just wandering around. They went from here to there. Just like me, you know, I left Virginia after all those years and moved to Texas. And then God said, go back. And he sent me back. Who knows where he's sending me? He might even tell me to go back. But whatever he does, that's his business. And mine too. Because that's between me and him. And whatever he tells you to do, that's your business. And his too. Because that's between you and him. But don't let anybody tell you what God didn't tell you to do. All right? So again, what God, the vision he gave you is for you. He didn't tell other people. So you do whatever he told you to do. But, and like I said, be obedient. Keep moving. And then also just understand that God is with you in the struggle. Okay, whatever you're doing, God is with you in the struggle. Just like the children of Israel, God was with them. He led them by a pillar or a pillar of cloud during the day, and a pillar of fire at night to give them light so they could see. So he was always with them in the struggle, and he always provided. I'm always talking about God. Wherever he guides, he will provide. There's provision, safety and provision in God's will. I always say that. So I just need you to know, don't isolate yourself. You know, that's what the enemy wants. And that's part of what I have been doing, isolating myself. Because I'm like, Lord, what is it? He was getting on to me. He said, you have not been a good steward over what I have given you as far as my videos and things. And that's because I kind of felt like, well, what is it that I have to share? But this is what I have to share with you, to let you guys know that you are not alone. It is okay to remain encouraged. Just keep moving, be obedient, because your breakthrough lies in your obedience. Your obedience is in the little steps, the small things that God has given you along the way. And like I said, God wants to, you're not confused. Your enemies may be confused, or the people on the outside looking in may be confused by watching you. And that's okay. Let them be confused, but you know what God told you. So you just keep moving. Again, the breakthrough is in your obedience. All right. And God even said that what he did, he had Pharaoh Pharaoh thought they were walking around in confusion, so he hardened his heart, and they decided to go after the Israelites, and they were trapped in, and they ended up dying because God performed a miracle. If you keep reading, you'll see he performed a miracle for the children of Israel as they parted. You know, Moses laid down his staff, and God parted the Red Sea, and they walked across on dry land. But then the Pharaoh's army thought they could do the same thing, went in behind them, and they ended up drowning. So see, that's a word for somebody right there that might be watching your journey, and they think they can do what you do. They don't have the favor of God on their life like you do. Okay? Not to say that God doesn't favor them. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is your enemies that are watching you, waiting on you to fall and to fail, they don't have that same favor. So you just keep moving, doing whatever it is that God told you to do. They can't do what you do. Your journey is your journey, and their journey is theirs. Just like you can't do what the next person does. Okay? So I wanted to share that with you. It was something else that was right there. And I'm trying to think, what is it? Oh, and that last thing, God is going to get the glory out of your story. Keep moving. He's going to get the glory, just like he did with the children of Israel, with that miracle that he performed. So even when he hardened Pharaoh's heart, and then at the end of the day, God backed the children of Israel into a corner right there at the sea where they had no other choice but to step out on faith. And that's the same thing he does with us. You have no other choice but to take a step out on faith. He'll get you in such a place that you can only rely on him, not man, him. And again, it's going to look like confusion to other people. Don't worry about how it looks to other people. Keep people out of your head, out of your ear, and you keep walking. At the end of the day, God got the glory when it came to the children of Israel, and he's going to get the glory when it comes to you, and just like me as well. So that's why I just keep moving, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So let's go back. Let's just recap a little bit here. I need you to keep walking. Some of you are going the long route around and you don't understand why. There's a reason for it. There are some things that God is trying to work up out of your heart, some things that he's trying to show you, you know. And as I said before, when I left here going to Texas, I was seeking after the promises of God. But when I came back running after God. Not his promises, but after him, just being obedient. My whole walk, this is all about him, not me, but him. I'm just a vessel. All right. And it's the same thing with you. So keep walking. And then others may be confused. As long as you're obedient to whatever God tells you to do, that's not your business what other people think about what you're doing. Okay. All right. And God will provide for you along the way. He will use the people around you that don't even like you to bless you. Just like he took spoils, or he plundered the Egyptians, or they gave them things when they left Egypt because they just wanted them out. So they gave them what was it? Like, I can't think of the word, like jewelry, things like that. He gave them things. So I just wanted you all to know that. Y'all, like I said, go read it. I know I'm all over the place, but I just had to share that with y'all today. And then the third thing is, I think I've already covered it. Be obedient. God's going to get the glory from your story. And remember, this is Angela. Surrender for sanity, because your sanity lies in your surrender to God. Okay? Y'all take care.